What is good, everybody? Matt Rose will infamously speaking. Promised another live show after the end of this game, Knicks Celtics game 3, and what a response by the Boston Celtics. I mean, nothing that's too shocking, I think, from the response that Boston put up. We said it on the last live stream. I know I was called a hater, and I was trying to play both sides because I am a Knicks fan. I'm not gonna act like I'm not a Knicks fan and wasn't disappointed by the outcome. But I did say on the last live stream that this is what I expected from Boston. I expected it in game 1. I expected it in game 2. And I definitely expected it coming into game 3, down 2-0 in the series, heart of a champion. Also, the Knicks don't really play well at home in these playoffs. Only one win. This is now their third straight loss. But first and foremost, you got to give it up to Payton Pritchard. I mean, he was phenomenal, probably the best Celtic in my opinion. His three-point shooting was incredible. Celtics as a team shot 50%, which was their Achilles heel in games 1 and 2, shooting 25%. So they doubled their percentage. But one thing that I noticed from this game, and I'm not sure if everybody else did as they were watching it, was the Celtics really seemed way more composed. And what I mean by that is the threes that they shot in game 1 and 2, even though they were good looks and that they were missing, it felt rushed. It felt like they were just trying to get the shot up, get the shot up, get the shot up really quick. This game, they were still generating those same good looks, but it felt like they weren't rushing to jack up the three. They were swinging the ball around, waiting for the Knicks to get off balance defensively, and then really shooting the shot with confidence, which I thought was a really big difference between games 1 and 2. Obviously, the Knicks offensively couldn't really get much going. They were awful from three-point line. They became the Boston Celtics today. Actually, a little bit worse because they were 5 for 25, which is 20%. And it was a struggle for them from the jump. Boston quieted the crowd early, and the Knicks didn't really do themselves that many favors. I mean, if you look at their assist to turnover ratio, 16-11 is terrible. 16 assists isn't going to get it done against Boston because they're going to be able to key in on you defensively, which they were able to do. Brunson was the only starter or only Knicks player to have somewhat of a decent game. I know Cap had 21 points, but 10 of those came out the line. So he wasn't really able to generate a lot of offense outside of that. 5 for 18 shooting. Something funky going on with his hand. Not really sure what it was. He stood in the game, played through it. So credit to him for being tough. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. But the Celtics, their defense was so impressive. And it was really impressive in last game. I mean, the Knicks 91 points last game when they won in game 2 was their lowest offensive output of the season. These 93, not too far off from that. And so you have to credit Boston for being able to do what they wanted to do on both sides of the ball. It looked bad in game 2 because they weren't hitting shots. It looked good in game 3 because they were hitting shots. But like I said, there was definitely a different demeanor, a swagger, a way that they were carrying themselves on the court, which again, when you're a champion, you expect to be able to bounce back and punch back once you get punched. But one thing that I think will go maybe a little bit unreported in this game, and hopefully it doesn't, because Joe Mazzulla got killed for taking the timeout with him to the locker room in game 2. But here in game 3, I thought his uses of his timeouts were fantastic, extremely timely. Even when they were up big, they built that big lead in the first quarter. Whenever the crowd started to get back into it, and credit the Knicks crowd, because even though the Knicks were down and down big early and never were really able to get it close at all, the crowd was still semi-raucous, which, I mean, if I was there, I would have been pretty quiet, to be honest with you, because there was really nothing too much to root for. But I thought Joe did a fantastic job calling timeouts whenever the Knicks got a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of life. He was like, nope, timeout. Let's go get an easy basket on the other end, kind of stifle that momentum. And that's what they did. So I thought they were fantastic in doing that. And now it's going to be interesting to see how the Knicks respond. How do the Knicks punch back in game 4? Is this kind of the beginning of the end? Do the Knicks win a game at Madison Square Garden to go back 3-1? I mean, history tells us that winners of the first 2 games of the series end up to go and win the series over 90% of the time. But the last team to blow a 2-0 lead was last year's New York Knicks against the Indiana Pacers. We know those were different circumstances. Knicks were injured, but this is a championship Celtics team. And I know that for my Knicks fans, it was frustrating hearing the coverage of this series over the first two games, which it was like, well, it's really more of a Boston thing than it is a New York thing. Not really giving the Knicks much credit for what they were able to do and winning both those games down 20. But even on the live stream that we did, was it Wednesday? Uh, someone asked, do we think that the better team won in games 1 and 2? And I came on and I said, no. No, I don't think the Knicks were the better team. There's a reason why you get down 20. Now, there's a reason why you get back 20. You come back from 20. And a lot of that is because the Knicks didn't quit. But you just don't come back from 20 without help from the other team. And so Boston did a lot of settling. Today, they didn't do that. Today, they attacked. And when they were getting threes, they were taking their time and not rushing them. They were getting everybody involved, getting great looks at the getting great look, getting great looks when they were driving to the basket, which I thought was great. The passing around the hoop was fantastic. Cornette played big minutes. Horford looked like he was 30 and not 39. And they just honestly looked like they wanted it more than the Knicks. I think that was the first time in this series where like they want this more. They look more energized. They were flying all over the place, and it wasn't just from quarters 1 through 3. It was every time they were out on the floor, they looked like they wanted it more. And that's what you expect. That's what you expect from the champion. And like I said, now it's New York. What do you do to respond? Boston you cannot allow Boston to come out and punch you in the mouth again. Now, granted, throughout these 3 games, Boston's defense hasn't been the problem. It was their offensive game plan, their offensive strategy. And they shot 43s again. But this time they were going in. And so now you see why the discourse was what it was in the national media about this series when the Knicks won the first 2 games. It was, if Boston can just hit their shots, the Knicks are in a world of trouble because the Celtics had 2 of their worst 3-point percentage shooting games back to back and only lost by a combined 4 points. And I know it was annoying to hear. It is annoying to hear. It sucks to hear that because you're like, hey, give our team some credit. But then when you see a game like this, you're like, oh shit. Well, I'm not like, oh shit, because that's what I said on Wednesday. But it's kind of like, dang, was that right? Now, if you're the Knicks, were you second guessing yourselves? Like, dang, if they just hit their shots, do we even have a chance in this series? And I know, the odds were crazy for the Celtics to open up because this is what they thought the outcome was going to be. This is what it was like throughout the regular season when they played, except for that last game that was in overtime. That went to overtime. So if you're New York, what do you do to move forward? We know what Boston wants to do. We know what they have to do to win. I thought before I go into what do the Knicks need to do, I do want to call out. I know we talked about Pritchard. I thought Jaylen Brown played a fantastic game. Just his aggression, I thought was massive. His desire to want to get to the basket, not settle for shots. I mean, he took 18 shots, only 6 of them were threes. Tatum, his 3 was falling. He took 20 total shots, 9 of them were threes. I would like to see that number go down a little bit. I get that's kind of the player he's become this year, but again, the mismatches are there all the time. Get the easy bucket or create an easier 3-point look than the ones that you're shooting. I don't think that he took any egregious threes like the one that was getting called out on social media. So no egregious threes today, but attack the mismatch more and more and more, and the Knicks really won't be able to stop you. Porzingis, I thought was fantastic, even though all of his points came out the stripe. I thought his defensive presence was incredible. 3 blocks, but a lot of altered shots. And then the lineup with him and Horford really allowed them to, of course, because they can both shoot, space the floor well, but then also have great defensive presence. So like, especially towards later in the game when Brunson tried getting inside or Hart tried getting inside or Cat tried driving, it was always like there was somebody there to meet them. So I think they played fantastically on the defensive end, packing the paint. So back to the Knicks. What do the Knicks need to do to be able to close out the series or win this series, right? Win game 4, go up back to Boston 3-1. Well, I think it's twofold. One is you can't keep coming out slow. And a part of that is Boston's defense. You got to credit Boston's defense. But I just feel like the only person that's not hesitant or tentative to take a shot right now is Jaylen. Mikhail had some good looks early in the game. He only shot 10 times, which he needs to shoot more. He had looks early in the game where he was just, it felt either A, scared to shoot, didn't want to shoot. I don't know what it was, but it just didn't feel right for Mikhail. And so I don't know. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know why he wants to wait till late in the game to turn it on, but we need him to take shots. We need other people than Jaylen to take shots and get going early. OG, only 6 field goals attempts. That's not going to get it done. I mean, and then Cat, it just feels like I'm not sure if it's something with the hand, but we brought him in here to be a shooting big. He had some tough shots. They just need to be able to generate better offense, better spacing. Um, Not to the degree that Boston is creating it, because again, Boston really has 5 guys that can do it all. That's going to be tough to match, especially when you have Mitchell Robinson on the floor, who I think again was huge on the defensive end, and on the offensive glass. You need to be able to create easier offense because that's what allows Boston to get out to these big leads. Of course, it's the prolific 3-point shooting, but it's also the fact that you have to work so hard for your buckets. And Boston's kind of getting whatever they want. I mean, obviously, the 3-point disparity was huge. Boston was plus 45 at in the 3-point battle, and you could just chalk it up to that, right? Because that was the big storyline going into this game. That was probably the main reason why Boston's down 0-2 in the series was their struggles at the 3-point line. But the Knicks have been equally bad. And game 1 they had a decent they were like 43%, but last game not so great from 3. And the fact is the Knicks were one of the worst teams defending the 3 in the regular seasons. So if you can't hit a 3 and you can't defend the 3, you're going to get down really quick. And then if you can't generate easy 2s, you're going to get down that much quicker. It's hard to be completely honest with you. And I said this on a show that we did. I picked Boston to win the series. And even up 2-0 as a Knicks fan, I didn't feel super confident because I watched the games. I kept on saying, yes, the Knicks won the game, but we all have eyes. We all know what we just saw. And it looked like Boston was the better team. It's just when it's close late, you trust the Knicks more. And so that's Boston's recipe for success. You win the early quarters so much that the Knicks have no chance. I mean, first quarter, you won by 16. Second quarter, you won by 9. So you're going into the half. Sorry, yes, by 9. So you're going into the half at that point up 25. And then all you got to do is just maintain, which they did. They won the third quarter by 1. So at that point, it's a 26-point lead going into the fourth. They lost the fourth quarter by 4. But again, I thought that was great coaching by Mazzulla, using timely timeouts to stymie any kind of Knicks synergy or offensive rhythm. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And it's not, again, even if Boston shot, let's say, 33% from 3, the game still is not great. You might not lose by 22, but you're still probably losing by double digits because they were getting such good looks everywhere on the floor, not just from 3. So it's going to be tough for New York, but they have to come out strong. They cannot allow themselves to continue to get behind big early. They were obviously never down this big, this early, but you can't allow yourself to do that against Boston. coming back from 20 twice is a ridiculous feat. First time it's ever been done. But you can't keep on counting on that as the way to win this series. And it's just not a reliable path to continue to follow. It's not a formula for success. And as frustrating as the coverage of this series has been, and I'll say it again, it's been frustrating coverage by the media. It wasn't inaccurate because, again, we all saw how the games were playing out. There's a reason Boston gets up 20, and then Boston helps the Knicks get back in the game. And then when it gets close, Boston gets tense. New York plays free. It's very similar. And I said this on last night's quick reaction when I reacted to Denver OKC game 3 was when OKC, because they matched up throughout the regular season, obviously 4 times in the regular season, but throughout this entire the 7 games they've played, when Oklahoma City won those matchups, they won by a gaudy number. I think it was like almost 25 points. It might have been more than an average of 25 points in the wins. When Denver won those games, Denver only won by, it was between 5 or 6 points per game. Yesterday they won, I think it was either by 7 or by 9. I don't remember the final score off the top of my head. I just know that OKC went stone cold in overtime. But what I said there was, your formula if you're Denver, if your formula if you're New York, is you just want a chance late because you trust your guys and how they perform over how the other guys will perform. You know your guys can perform well under pressure. The other guys maybe not so much. They get out of character. They start taking bad shots, rushing shots. And so the Knicks formula needs to be puncher's chance, keep us within 10 to 12 to max 15, and then let us go to work in the 4th. Boston is exactly what they did tonight. Don't even give them a chance. Don't even give them a chance. Don't take your foot off the gas. Continue to apply offensive pressure. Swing the ball around. Payton Pritchard, phenomenal. I mean, it seems like he was the one that was always hitting the shot. The Knicks, the crowd was starting to get back into it, and it was a Payton Pritchard 3. But just continue to generate good offense. And it's funny how good the offense looks when you're hitting those threes. But even when you're not, they still smoked a couple layups right at the rim. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the series plays out. Like I said, as a Knicks fan, didn't feel super great even up 2-0. Definitely don't feel great up 2-1 right now, especially if New York's not going to be able to come out of the blocks faster than what they've had all 3 games. They're the defending champs for a reason. So I'm not switching up. I'm saying exactly what I said on the live stream on Wednesday. Better team. Boston's looked like the better team in all 3 games. It's crazy. I don't know if I've ever seen something where the better team is down 2-1 after 3 games. The team that's looked better after 3 games is down 2-1 because they have looked better in every single game. And this time they were able to put together a complete performance, start to finish. Knicks, figure it out. Celtics fans, tell me how you feel in the chat. Knicks fans, do the same. It's going to be interesting. Next game is Monday. Who do you got? Knicks go up 3-1. Celtics tie the series. Let me know in the comments. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. And as always, think critically, speak infamously. Love.